I've been getting a lot of requests about affirmations and about how we influence ourselves, both why things work, why things don't work, how they can work, having tips on different things like this. Today what I really wanted to talk about was how to brainwash yourself. And bear with me for a second here, okay? So we are brainwashed absolutely every day of our lives. You've been brainwashed from a child, from the age of a child. When your parents say money doesn't grow on trees, when parents say, do you think this is easy, or do you think everything comes easy, when somebody says to you that there's a certain religion that they adhere to, or whatever, we've got these beliefs that other people have, and they promote these over and over and over again. This is why in North America we believe that capitalism is a great idea, or that democracy is a great idea. Is it because those ideas are the very best on the planet? My guess is that you're saying to yourself right now, yeah, those are good things. The fact is that there are advantages and disadvantages to democracy. There are advantages and disadvantages to capitalism. There are advantages and disadvantages to everything. But because we've been taught this over and over and over again in school, we believe certain things. I'll give you an example. How old do you think people have lived in North America? How many years? What's the largest city that's ever existed in North America before Western Europeans came over? Do you know that there were cities of hundreds of thousands of people in North America? We don't hear about them, so we don't believe them. What we hear about is that First Nations peoples or Aboriginal peoples were a certain way, and that's what we believe. So we've been brainwashed thinking about the people that were here before Western Europeans. Okay, I'll give you another example. Think about through history. When you think about the greatest civilizations in history, what do you think of? I'm willing to bet that you think of Greeks, Romans, and then later cultures. Okay, maybe if you're a really good history buff, you think about Persia or you think about Egypt. Do the first things that come to your mind are they India? Are they China? No, typically not. Why? Because we are taught certain things in our culture, so we believe certain things. We believe that Western philosophy is stronger than Eastern philosophy. Go read Eastern philosophy, and you'll be blown away with the depth of thinking that's involved in Eastern philosophy. Basically, what I'm saying is that we believe certain things because they're repeated to us over and over and over and over and over again. That's it. That's the complexity of what you believe. Now, if you want to change a belief about yourself, you want to change the belief about your own value, if you want to change the belief about what you think about money or sales or marketing or any of these things, what you need to start doing is change what you believe. And the way to do that is to repeat different information to yourself. So I'll give you some examples here, okay? In our culture today, the way brainwashing works is media, okay? So there are many forms of media. There are billboards. There's often on a T-shirt you'll see an emblem, or on a cap you'll see marketing. You'll see marketing on TV and commercials. When you listen to the radio, we see it all around us all the time. When you go to a restaurant or something, you see marketing from themselves or from other places. So media has all these forms of marketing. So there's you, okay, and what happens is that, here, I'm going to grab a couple of, we get inundated with information. Do you know that the average person is inundated, in North America, the average person is inundated by about 3,500 ads a day? Okay? Sorry, I'm using the same colors here. So 3,500 ads a day. If you are getting all this information a day, what does that do to your mind? What it does to your mind is it becomes noisy. You've got all this information constantly being bombarded that McDonald's is a great place to eat at, or that what you really want to do is drink a lot of beer on the weekend, or sleep in, or whatever it is, okay, or watch football, or whatever it is. And I'm not saying these things are good or bad. It just exists, okay? This is what it is. So when you're being given all this information constantly by somebody other than you, who is not thinking about your goals, they're thinking about their goals. McDonald's wants to sell hamburgers. they're not primarily concerned about you and your goals of time and money freedom or whatever your goal is, okay? Building your business. They're concerned about selling burgers. What, I don't know, some clothing store, I don't know, Abercrombie and Fitch or whatever it is, okay? Some designer or an apparel company, what they're focused on is selling shirts or selling jeans or selling whatever. Their focus is not what is Mark Frentz's goals and how do we help him reach those goals. So what they're doing is they're giving you information, they're brainwashing you every single day on the things that they want. How do you combat that? How do you tip the balance in your favor when you 3,500 messages a day, every day, the same messages over and over and over and over again? How do you fight against that? Well, the answer is affirmations. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip this over, okay? The answer to this is you need to focus on what you want. You need to change your beliefs. And there are two skills to develop with this. One is reviewing your goals constantly. That focuses you on what you want to focus on. And the second is affirmations. Affirmations affect what you believe. And now I'm going to go back to the first book that I read about this. The first book I read about this was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. If you've not read this book, you must read this book as a business owner. If you don't like reading, listen to the audiobook. Doesn't matter to me, okay? But get this book in your head. And I would recommend not listening to it or reading it once or 2 times or 3 times, but studying it many times. I know somebody in my city that's worth $850 million. He tells me that he has read this book hundreds of times. Hundreds. He says that for every time he's read the book, he's earned about $1 million. So my guess he said he's read it about 600 or 700 times, but he's made over $1 million for each time he's read the book. He says he gets new ideas from this all the time. One key fundamental part of Think and Grow Rich is teaching you that you need to repeat something enough times until you believe it, until you focus on it. When that's what you focus on, you will move forward towards success. And I'll give you some examples. Think about people who wanted to be astronauts or wanted to be the best athlete in their sport or wanted to be, I don't know, the best business person. Talk to these people, read their biographies, and what you'll find is that consistently they are saying, I've wanted to do this since I was 2, 3, 4, 5. Since a little kid, they've thought about this every day. They put posters up all over their house. What were they doing? They were brainwashing themselves. Instead of allowing their mind to be focused on whatever, on using their time and energy and money on pizza or on girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever it was, they focused on their goals. And the more they focused on their goals, the more focused in they got, the more they tended to, so I talk about this in other videos, but confirmation bias, where they started to it started to consume them. And that's all they thought about, they started getting really good at something. Because they looked for ways to get better at it constantly. Okay? My brother was this way. My brother would go to bed. He was excellent at basketball. And a lot of universities wanted him. But when he would go to bed, he would wear his basketball shoes to bed. He would bring if he got a new basketball, he would bring the ball to bed. Like he honestly lived, breathed, ate, slept basketball. And he became really good at it. Okay? I remember his baseline 3-point shots that went in. It were just unbelievable to me. So I'm going to give you some tips why affirmations don't work, what you can do to make them work, and then what's going on. Okay, some tips on maybe some examples as well. So why don't affirmations work for most people? They don't work for most people, and I'll tell you why. You need 2 key aspects to make an affirmation work. You need repetition. Okay? So you need to be repeating it over and over and over again. You need to be repeating it so many times that it gets into your skull. It's like a song. Do you ever get a song stuck in your head and you just can't get out of it? Can't get it out? And then years later, the songs that got stuck in your head earlier on, you remember them really well, right? They influence you. In the same way, the more you repeat something, just like a religion, just like a statement about money or values or giving or whatever it was that you were taught when you were a kid, In the same way, if you repeat certain things to yourselves, they will get into your head. You will start to believe them. Secondly, emotion. When you add emotion to something that you repeat to yourself consistently, it gets in your head way better. Our minds are motivated by emotion. So the more you can attach emotion to something, the better it'll stick with you. I'll give you an example. What is your favorite memory from high school? What's the strongest memory you have from childhood? I'm willing to bet that when you answer one of those two questions, or both of them, what you're going to find is that you've got really strong emotions attached to those memories. That's actually how we remember. The way our brain works, we remember when there's a strong emotion attached. And there are reasons for that. I'll get into it some other time, okay? For today, what I want to explain, and for this month, is you need these two keys: repetition and emotion. Think and Grow Rich is all about these two things, basically, okay? It's all about brainwashing yourself in the way that you want to be brainwashed so you reach your own goals. Why don't affirmations work for people? Because they're getting inundated by 3,500 ads a day, and they're repeating their affirmation once a week. If you tried it for a week, once a day, twice a day, and it didn't work, that makes sense. Can you imagine if you like, so I'm 40 years old, can you imagine if I've been inundated with certain information about, again, fast food or whatever it is for decades, or money or business for decades? How many movies have you seen where people are presented, rich people are presented as evil people? This happens every day in our society and culture. And if you're watching movies, if you're being influenced by 2 hours a week by a movie about a bad rich guy, then how is repeating something for a few seconds once every 2 weeks going to make a difference? It's not going to make a difference. That's a huge problem. The second thing is that people are not emotionally attached, or I'm going to attach belief here. Okay? Belief. So, the way to create a perfect affirmation, the way to create and the way to make it really useful to you is to repeat it constantly. And I'm going to give you a few tips for this, okay? Secondly, it's to attach an emotion or a belief to it. Now, I'm going to give you an example. Another way that I found some clients and people struggle with affirmations is that they will say something that is so far-fetched that their mind doesn't believe it. They just write it off, and they don't even think about it, okay? So, for example, if you are in a place where you've never earned over $50,000 a year in your business, and then your affirmation is, I earn $1 million every year. That's a significant jump. That's a significant jump, okay? Is it impossible? No. I've helped people get there. I know people who have done it. I've made incredible leaps in my business before. But that leap for the average person is really difficult. And simply by saying, I earn $1 million a year, I earn $1 million a year, you're not going to magically make yourself earn $1 million a year, okay? By simply saying it, if it's a huge leap for you. You've got to have a skill set to earn $1 million. And again, I'm getting into some things here where I might be arguing with myself in a few seconds here. But keep in mind, just this one tip, that if it's too much of a gap between what you believe is possible and you're saying, you won't do it. I'll give you an example. If you said to yourself every day, so I'm 6 feet tall, okay? If I said to myself every day, I'm 6'5", I'm 6'5", I'm 6'5", would I magically become 6'5"? I'm 40 years old. Is that going to happen? Well, if I don't believe it's going to happen, there's no way. Whether it can or not, there's no way if I don't believe it. So it's got to be in the realm of belief for you, okay? So choose an affirmation, repeat it constantly, tie it to emotions that you have, and beliefs that you want to change, but that are not so far-fetched that you completely write it off. Your mind writes it off, okay? I'll give you an example. What I want you to do, if you want to take this seriously, I want you to come up with an affirmation as well as a goal statement, the goal that you really want. And I want you to, so goals and affirmations are a little bit different. I'll explain this quickly too. What goals are specific things that you want that are dated. They're measurable. So you just like, I'm going to earn $200,000 in my new business by July the 1st, 20 whatever. Okay, 2024, 2035, whatever it is, okay? That's a goal. And then in that goal, you can add certain things like I'm enjoying the beach. I see the sand. I see the waves. I smell the fresh breeze. Those kind of things help a lot with goals, okay? But they're very specific. Affirmations are less concrete. They're less specific. They can be things like, I'm so happy and grateful that I have more clients coming in every month than I did in the past. Or I'm so happy and grateful that people value how much quality service I bring to them. Okay? What those would do is they're going to be correcting belief patterns of I'm not growing on my business, or the economy's slow and it's going to hurt me, or people don't see the value that I'm bringing them. Okay? That will start to combat that. So affirmations and goals. First step, or first tip, is repeat these things at least 2 times a day. With your goal, what I would do is actually meditate on it a little bit, visualize it a little bit. What I would do with my affirmation is repeat it a number of times in my head. Here's the second thing that I would do. And I'm going to give you, actually I'm not going to write them down, I'm just going to tell you here, okay? Here are some different ways that you can use affirmations in your life. These are ways that I've used them to make a huge difference. I'm going to tell you a really quick story about myself, okay? I did not believe that money was a good thing. I believed that money and power corrupt. That's what I was taught when I was a kid. I was taught that money was bad, big business was typically bad, and so there was this belief in me. The emotion attached to money was that it's wrong and I shouldn't be chasing it. So of course I wasn't chasing. Of course I failed at business when I was first starting. I read Think and Grow Rich. And he goes through a 6-step process in this first chapter of the book, in Desire. You can read through this 6-step process. And I wrote it down. I remember writing it down. I still remember the book that I was reading and highlighted, because I've got a number of copies now. But I remember writing that down, that 6-step process, and repeating it to myself over and over and over and over. At the beginning, it didn't have a huge effect. I didn't notice anything. But this was what I'd heard successful people do, so I was going to do it. I did it over and over and over, in the morning and the evening, in the morning and the evening, in the morning and the evening. I did it over and over and over for probably about 3 or 4 weeks, and I started to notice some changes in me. I started to notice that my visualization was becoming more vivid. I was starting to see exactly kind of how it could happen. And then I started to believe that it was possible. And then I started to believe, this is over a course of a number of months, I started to believe that it was actually probable, that I would probably do this. And then it became a belief that there was no doubt in my mind that I was going to be wealthy and that it was going to come from my business. No doubt. The strength of that for me is that now if something comes up in my business, if something goes wrong, if something goes really pear-shaped, that doesn't affect me greatly, because I know, I fully believe that I'm going to be really successful in business. So if something comes up, well, it's not a big deal anymore. Some failure, some marketing campaign falls flat. I lose a couple $100,000 or a few tens of thousands of dollars. That's not a big deal to me. Why? Because I know I'm going to get it back. I know that I'm going to grow further than that. Why? Because I know I'm going to be successful in business. I believe that. Whether you believe it's true about me or not is beside the point. Whether a financial advisor thinks it's true or not, beside the point, or my accountant, they don't matter to me. Their opinion, as much as my belief in myself. Okay? So here are a few ways that I found are really helpful with affirmations. One, write it out. Instead of writing it out and reading it on a card, write it out. The more you use your hands, the more you get engaged with the affirmations, the bigger difference it makes for you. So if you write it out every day, so this is one thing that I've done for months in a row. Every morning, every evening, I'll write out my affirmation 3, 4, 5 times. By the way, I would suggest having only maximum like 2 or 3 affirmations that you repeat every day, okay? If you get 1,000 affirmations that you repeat every day, that's difficult for your brain to focus on them, okay? Have 1, max 2 or 3, okay? But I remember having, for a period of time, I had, I think, 2 affirmations. I would read them or write them out over and over and over and over again. It engages our brain in a different way. I find that I get distracted easily. So if I'm reading my affirmation every day, I'll start to zone out. My mind won't be engaged. So then I start writing it out. Here's a third thing you can do. What you can do is instead of writing it out or reading it, close your eyes. Once you've memorized them, because it happens quite quickly if you're doing this every day, twice a day. Once you've memorized it, close your eyes and visualize it. What does this look like? What does this feel like? just engage your mind a little bit. That's a great way of using affirmations. Another thing that you can do is, and this is one thing that I've tried that I found really beneficial. I've never even heard of somebody doing this. I think it was honestly something that I came up with on my own. But what I would do is I read my affirmation 100 times. 100 times I read my affirmation. And recorded it. It took me 12 and a half minutes to do this, okay? I read it over and over and over and over again. And the emotion in my voice built. And I found that even reading it 100 times, I was getting more involved in it. I was getting excited about it in different ways, which is the power of repetition. You start to believe it in a different way. That's how brainwashing works. How did Nazi Germany brainwashing work? How does North American brainwashing work? Whether it's good or bad, it's repetition and emotion. So I recorded myself, and then I would listen to that recording once in the morning, once in the evening. Usually I did it while I was brushing my teeth. It took me a while to floss and brush my teeth, and I would listen to it while I was doing that or doing my hair or whatever, okay? I had my headphones in, and I would listen to my own voice. And that was really powerful, had a significant impact on me, okay? And so again, I switch these things up for myself. I switch them up all the time. If I get bored with listening, I start reading. If I get bored with reading, I start writing it out. If I get bored with writing it out, I will visualize a few times. The key point in this is engage your mind. Engage your mind. Now, lastly, the last thing that I wanted to talk about for this month's newsletter, and I'm excited about this because I believe that it'll help everyone here. Find an affirmation that fits you. So ask yourself first, so how do you come up with the perfect affirmation? Ask yourself, what is the belief that I'm struggling with? If you don't know what the belief is that you're struggling with, ask yourself a different question. Ask yourself, where am I failing? Where am I failing? If the failure is in relationships, then the belief is tied to relationships in some way. Okay? So for example, if every relationship you have, people abuse you, then go, okay, so what's the pattern? Where's the failure over and over and over again? And then ask myself, well, what would the belief be tied to if people consistently take advantage of me? Or if I'm always helping people but not being helped myself? Well, the belief is probably going to be something along the lines of, I don't believe that I deserve help, so I don't attract it. I push it away from me. I help others, but I won't accept it. If that's true, if you go, you know what, that belief is true, then your affirmation is going to be something like, I have value and other people see it. That's a simple statement. I have value and other people see it. Or I have value and people invest in me. I have value and people invest in me. It's a simple statement. Affirmation. Well, another example, maybe if it's about money or about business growth, maybe the economy is really struggling in your area. An affirmation could be, my business grows no matter what's happening outside. Or my business grows stronger and stronger every month. A simple statement. If you question your ability to connect with people, or you question your ability to influence people, you could say something like, I am so happy and grateful that I influence people and they see the value that I'm bringing them. I'm so happy and grateful that I influence people and they see the value that I'm bringing to them. Here's what I want you to do, because I get questions about affirmations a lot. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to write me an email. I want you to send me a text. And I'm gonna recommend that you ask me a specific question about affirmations. If I get questions about this kind of stuff, I will do another video for everyone. But most likely, I'll also respond to you personally. I'm at a point in my business where I'm getting a lot busier, and I'm starting to limit the amount of time that I spend with people if they're not paying clients, or if they're but I mean, if you're a paying client, you know I'm going to connect with you, and even if you aren't, most likely I will respond. I work my hardest to respond to everyone who connects with me and asks me a question, because I value that. That's something that I needed when I was growing my business, and that I got from some really kind people, and I want to always give that to other people. Okay, so send in your questions, work on your affirmations. If it takes a day or two to figure it out, spend a couple of hours on it and come up with a statement that fits you. I've often found in my affirmations that as I'm reading it out or writing it out over and over and repeating it, sometimes I change a word in there. I'm like, you know what, that word's not right. I'll use this word instead. Or I make it a little bit longer. I make it a bit shorter. You can always change them around a little bit. Make it perfect for you, and then repeat it over and over and over. You've got to combat what media is doing every day, right? You have to fight this. And the only way to do it, the only way to reach your goals, is if you focus on your own goals. So what are your goals? focus on them, develop them, write them out, and then repeat them over and over and over until you believe in yourself. When you believe in yourself, everything changes for your business as well. Enjoy practicing this month.